this month's Kraft Tour Tennis Magazine, we look at the strength and growth of the game in Germany. A bright future being built on a rock-solid foundation. We talked to German player Sabine Hack about her recent run of success and the reasons behind it. And the triumph and the tears of one of the most memorable Wimbledon singles finals in recent history. Welcome to the Kraft Tour Tennis Magazine, everyone. I'm Robin Roberts. This month, we'll spend some time with an up-and-coming player from Germany, Sabine Hack. And how is Germany able to produce so many fine tennis players anyway? We'll see how the Federation support promising young players. Betsy Nagelsen will, of course, be along with the Nagelsen know-how. She's got a great tip for your net game. And we'll have highlights from Wimbledon, a rain-free Wimbledon, as well as results from Palermo and Kitzbuhel. When we return, we'll hear how the players really feel about playing on grass. So please stay with us.
Kraft Tour Tennis Match.
Grass court tennis. Difficult and demanding, fast and furious, powerful and punishing, skillful and serene. The toughest test in tennis, but held in great affection. Just ask the players.
I like grass a lot better. Each time better and better.
It's just being on the surface, the feeling under your feet, and the way the ball's bouncing, how you watch the ball, and the feel of the ball coming off the grass. I like that.
That feels great. I love playing here, and I love the grass.
I expect to do well anytime I play on grass, because of the love that I have for it.
Of all the surfaces on the Kraft Tour, none is more exciting and challenging than grass. Certainly no other arouses quite the same strength of feeling amongst those who compete on it. But love it or hate it, because grass plays host to Wimbledon, it cannot be ignored.
Grass is an odd surface. I've heard players say that it's for cows and should be put in a pasture. I don't know that I believe that any more than cement should be only used for a parking lot. You can play on cement also. But I think it's great. It's an eerie surface. Of course, Wimbledon has such a grand tradition that it's part of the allure of it.
Wimbledon is widely regarded as the most prestigious tournament in the world, thanks largely to its great tradition, of which the greatest is the grass itself. It's the ultimate surface for the serve and volleyers like Martina Navratilova, and thus winning Wimbledon is their ultimate goal. Navratilova is one of the finest ever and has won the singles title a record 9 times. Even at 36, her serve and volley game makes Navratilova a highly feared opponent on grass, as she proved last month by winning her 11th title at Eastbourne. Navratilova, with her extraordinary fitness and agility, speed of reaction, and unique power, is the perfect grass court player. No wonder she only needs one more Wimbledon title for the all-time record.
Well, I think anyone who's a very aggressive player, their game is naturally suited for grass. There are also other players that can adjust well for their ground strokes if they can hit the ball well from the baseline on the grass. But I think the serve and volleyers definitely have an advantage.
Lori McNeil, last year's champion at Eastbourne, is another proven grass court specialist. The low, unpredictable bounce caused by the surface suits her style, but it's not for everyone. Even the serve and volleyers sometimes suffer on the grass.
Just the adjustment of just the ball bouncing very, very low. You have to run very, very low. It's kind of straining on the body a little bit.
And it's also harder on the legs because it's more explosive footwork on the grass court. And the game goes so fast that if you have a slip of concentration just for a fraction of a second, the game could be over. And I personally prefer grass court because I have a slice backhand, and that's a little to my advantage.
Gabriela Sabatini also plays with the advantage of backhand slice, but on the other hand, her tendency to rely on heavy topspin is not so adaptable. Like most players, she has to adjust accordingly.
Probably I have to play a little more flat and more with slice, not so much with topspin. And, the stroke is going to have to be shorter than I used to hit it. And come to the net all the time.
In 1986, the Australian Open changed its venue, and a new rebound ace surface was laid down, leaving Wimbledon as the only Grand Slam to be played on grass. After the French Open brings the clay court season to a close, 2 grass court tournaments are held in Birmingham and Eastbourne, and together with Wimbledon, make up the whole of today's grass court schedule. Just as the high maintenance costs and the restrictions brought by the English climate have caused the number of grass courts to diminish, so the serve and volleyers have become rarer too.
I think as long as Wimbledon is on grass, we'll always have those 3 tournaments. But it's definitely gone. I don't know what changed first, the players or the venues, but the courts themselves lend themselves much more to the baseliner player than the serve and volleyer. So the game has totally recycled itself.
Today, the majority of the tour is played on slower surfaces. There are 35 events on hard courts and 18 on clay, in comparison to the 3 on grass. And the high bounce of the slower surfaces suit many of the modern players who prefer to stay at the back of the court and play a baseline game. Some even choose to specialize on these surfaces and don't play on grass at all.
You know, Wimbledon's Wimbledon. I don't care if you're playing on cobblestones. You're still going to come and play here. And players, I think the ranking has a lot to do with it. Players don't want to put themselves on the line, and maybe their game is not best they're best on grass, so they don't want to take the chance of having a second-round loss or something on their computer for the rest of the year. You know, I think people look too much into the future, and they don't just play the ball and go and play, have fun.
But for Navratilova and most of her fellow pros, there is no more fun to be had in tennis than on the grass at Wimbledon. Stop 34 on the Kraft Tour provided one of the most memorable Wimbledon finals in history between Steffi Graf and Jana Novotna. The first set couldn't have been closer, and even in the tiebreak, Novotna continued the excellent form she'd shown in defeating Sabatini and Navratilova in the previous 2 rounds. With 3 Wimbledon singles titles already to her name, Steffi Graf was never going to be a pushover. Every ounce of that experience was needed against a hungry Novotna in her first Wimbledon singles final, and how important it proved. For all that Graf threw at Novotna, the Czech player managed to come back with something extra special. She took the second set 6-1. And in the third set was poised for a crucial break. Rather than overwhelmed by the occasion, Novotna seemed particularly inspired, never more so than with this chance to achieve a second break in the final set. With such a commanding lead, victory looked certain for Novotna. After crumbling in similar situations on several previous occasions, she of all people knew anything was still possible.
Advantage, Miss Graf.
Suddenly the momentum was changing, and Graf was being allowed back into the game, breaking back not just once, but twice with ominous ease. Even at 4-all in the final set, Novotna's confidence now appeared gone, contrasting with an even more determined Graf.
Game is Graf.
After losing 4 games in succession, Novotna then had the unenviable task of serving to save the match.
Game, set, match, Miss Graf. 2 sets to 1, 7-6, 1-6. 6-4.
So elation for the Graf camp and disappointment for Novotna. But although she lost the match, she did win the hearts of many. She may never get a better chance of winning Wimbledon. Meanwhile, 4-time champion Graf has plenty more to smile about. Czechoslovakia's Radka Babkova triumphed over Mary Pierce of France in Palermo. One stop later, in Kitzbuhel, Austria, it was local player Judith Wiesner against Anke Huber of Germany in the final. Although Huber had taken a 3-love lead in the first set, Wiesner managed to draw even at 3-all, only to see Huber slip away from her again in devastating fashion. Huber took the first set 6-4, but Wiesner was in no mood to surrender. Indeed, in the very first game of the second set, it was Wiesner who had break point. Huber's superior ranking and seeding soon began to show, and she immediately broke back in the second game and broke again in the fourth. The 18-year-old German was now cruising to victory and soon found herself up 4-1 in the final set. Wiesner was anxious not to disappoint the home fans and put up as good a fight as she possibly could. But in the end, Wiesner's best just wasn't enough, and it was not long before Huber had match point. So Huber collected her first Kraft Tour title of the year, along with $27,000 in prize money. Natalia Medvedeva was a victor in Prague, Czechoslovakia, stop number 37. The unseeded Ukrainian comfortably beat Mikey Babel of Germany in the final. Coming up, an inside look at German tennis. Are there any future superstars in the making? We'll find out next. Can claim a better record. It also boasts a thorough talent spotting and coaching system that has made Germany a model in European tennis. No wonder then that questions were asked at the Federation Cup this month when Germany, the title holders, were beaten in the first round. But the feeling was not so much of recrimination on the part of the press, but disappointment that their flagship had fared so badly. In Germany, tennis is a popular sport. It rates second behind soccer. Almost 4 million people play, and over 2 million of those belong to a club. In former West Germany, virtually every village has a club, and over $8.5 million is spent annually on development alone. In control is the influential German Tennis Federation.
After World War II, tennis was a sport for the privileged classes. Then it was opened up, and everybody wanted to play tennis. With the increased interest in tennis, better clubhouses and facilities had to be built. The state invested a great deal to support the sport, and that created the basis for the popularity of tennis in Germany.
There are 18 federations throughout Germany which act as filters for the DTB. This one is in Baden, headed by Wolf-Dieter Spate, and it's one of the most successful. And when it's not the height of the summer holidays, the center works with 300 of the most talented youngsters in the region who train here daily after school. And at tournament time, living in at the center is part of their competitive preparations. Every stage in need of a youngster's tennis career is taken care of, and sponsorship helps pay for the $1 million a year running costs. Here at Lyman, the Federation now has contracts with its very top players to pay back 20% of any future earnings to help the next generation. If required, the DTP still works with players once they become professionals, but Silke Meier, ranked 112th, and top 10 star Anke Huber sometimes train here. But generally, once they've reached 18, they're on their own.
After that, players must stand on their own 2 feet. They have to select their own tournaments and pay for it all themselves. But the Federation is responsible until you're 18.
Baden also has at its core a significant artifact of tennis history. The courts where the young Boris Becker and Steffi Graf trained when they were 7 and 8 years old. Both players spent around 7 years training at Lyman. Their coach at that time, later to be Huber's coach, was Boris Brekesvar. It's a coincidence that all three, Becker, Graf, and Huber, are all from the same area. And some might say that Brexvar was extraordinarily lucky to be in the right place at the right time.
As coach for the Baden Tennis Federation, he clearly had a great part in this success, for he trained most of the young people who are now at the absolute top of German tennis. He built the foundation for German tennis.
German tennis experienced a second boom in popularity after Becker and then Graf had made their marks internationally. Boys especially, who had always wanted to play soccer, were turning to tennis.
After Steffi's and Boris's wins, we had 10 times more children coming to view the centre. We had to recruit new trainers. I think the system is very good, because we have very thorough coverage of Germany, which means that nobody can slip through the net. We document all talented people, and in a pyramid system, they do travel upwards. I think the system is really very good.
The system, which has yet to be established in former East Germany, worked well for Barbara Rittner, currently ranked 29th. The DTP offered to support her financially and pay for training and travel if she left school, and devoted herself totally to the sport.
I
think the DTB do their best to help particularly young women players, and that has enabled me to develop, since it's very hard to do it on your own or out of your own pocket. Therefore, I think that the DTB in particular has done a lot for me, and especially in my case, it has played a large part in my coming so far.
Brexvar has now struck out alone, and 10 months ago opened his own private academy near Lyman. With 35 children signed up, there's no shortage of material to work with. Brexvar, who's originally from Slovenia, will inevitably be able to put his past experience to good use.
Steffi and Anke learned from me, but I learned from them too and gained experience. I constantly think about what I can improve or change from what I used to do.
One of Brexvar's protégés is devoting all her spare time to becoming the next Anke Huber. Weingartner is 13 and Germany's #1 junior. It's critical to spot talented youngsters, but the DTP finds it's the older girls, as in most sports, that need more care.
But then it is more important to look after the next category, the 14 to 18 age group, so that they keep playing tennis and don't transfer to other sports or develop other interests. You don't know at the beginning just which of these players will develop in a positive way. We've seen this with women players. Suddenly they were just there, but the basis, the foundation has been laid.
Germany can only find a phenom like Graf once every 15 years or so. Even though they admit there is a small gap between Graf, Huber, and the rest, the DTP is confident that they can continue to produce players for the top 10, if not the top 5. In this month's Kraft Tour points, Jennifer Capriati falls to 10th place after Anke Huber's convincing win at Kitzbuhel. The out-of-action Monica Seles drops to number 8, and Jana Novotna's appearance in the Wimbledon final pushes her to the 6th place. And in the top 5 this month, Conchita Martinez at number 4, but she's almost closed the gap for a place in the top 3. Wimbledon champion Steffi Graf keeps her #1 spot. In the doubles, Shriver and Smiley move up 1 place after their semifinal appearance at Wimbledon. Finalists Novotna and Nealon remain at number 2, while the Wimbledon champions and Grand Slam winners for the 6th consecutive time stay at number 1. Up next, a promising young German player moving steadily up the rankings, number 18, Sabine Hack. A newcomer. She's been around for 6 years previously, playing satellite tournaments. Hack's only tour win to date has been a small event in Brazil, Sao Paulo, 2 years ago. In the rankings, she seemed settled at around the 40s mark, but suddenly this year, everything changed. In March, she beat Jana Novotna, the number 4 seed, in the semifinals of the Virginia Slims at Houston. Although she lost in the final to Conchita Martinez, she went on to reach the quarterfinals in Hilton Head, followed by the semifinals in Barcelona, all within the space of 4 weeks. Suddenly, Hack has a much higher profile, and her success has also gained her greater respect from her fellow players.
Perhaps it's easier to find a training partner, a good training partner. They like training with me. Earlier, they might have said, "No, I don't have time now. I've made arrangements with someone else." They are more friendly now. They simply respect me more, and that's a good feeling.
Now here's 20-year tour veteran Betsy Nagelsen with the Nagelsen know-how. She's got a great tip for your net game.
Welcome to the beautiful Ritz-Carlton at Kapalua on the island of Maui. It's a whole lot easier to become a successful volleyer when you're getting easy balls to volley. It all starts with the right attitude and a good approach shot. I like to break the court up into 3 zones. When my opponent hits the ball into the red zone, I'm going to return it to stay in the point. I'm not going anywhere. When I get a ball in the yellow zone, I'm going to proceed with caution. But when I get a short ball, I'm going to hit a big forehand or a slice backhand, and I'm heading to the net to end the point. When your opponent is at the net, it's a good play to throw up a deep lob and follow it in. When returning a second serve, take a step or 2 in and chip the ball down the center of the court, or if you're really feeling confident, down the line. Either way, attack that second serve and get to the net. Of course, the ultimate approach shot is a good first serve, and it doesn't have to be a boomer. One tight to the body will often give you a return to jump on at the net. And remember, when you're going to the net, follow the path of your approach shot. Chances are it'll be coming right back to you.
From the day. It sure would be nice to have the 2-time defending champion Monica Sunshine, sea, and sand. From the outside, the Kraft Tour is just one big beach party. But life is not all a ball. There are 2 sides to every story. And have you heard this one before? Eva Maioli's from the former Yugoslavia. She hits the ball ferociously hard. She grunts and giggles and is taking the tour by storm. And it's the end of the line for Martina Navratilova, the greatest of them all. Will the women's tour ever be the same? Welcome to the Kraft Tour Tennis Magazine, everyone. I'm Robin Roberts. This month we have results from 7 stops on the tour, including highlights from Zurich and Brighton. We'll also get to know young Eva Maioli, and we'll take a look at the ups and downs of life on the road. Betsy Nagelsen will, of course, be along with the Nagelsen know-how. She's got another great tip for your game. And we'll take a look at the rankings as we near the Virginia Slims Championships. But when we return, we'll focus on the nightmare that haunts all players, injuries. So please stay with us. The Kraft Tour Tennis Magazine is brought to you by Capio Iced Cappuccino from Maxwell House. The thrill is the... Injury is one of the hazards and fears of a tennis player's life. But with so much at stake now, the cost is measured not just in pain, but prize money. And sports medicine has had to develop as fast as the game itself in recent years. Wrong diagnosis or poor treatment can cost a career. Oh, I didn't know.
I didn't know when I pulled the stomach muscle, they told me to get in a whirlpool. So I did, you know. It's the worst thing you can do now. Of course, you ice everything. But the knowledge has come so far in how to take care of your body, how to prevent injuries, how to treat them. Now we have the physiotherapists and trainers, and you get every bit of your body taped before a match.
So what percentage better are you feeling today?
With players beginning younger and competing more than ever before on a variety of surfaces, it's vital that the right medical backup is at hand.
When you practice so many hours